I need you to gather your stuff, the police sergeant told me over the phone. 2 squad cars are on their way there right now to pick you up. I asked a question, disoriented from having just woken up. The only answer he would give was, "We are gonna put you up in a hotel for a short time." I refused to leave my house without a reason. That's when he answered, "We found a large amount of partially digested human remains in your septic tank, and we have a reason to believe that you are not alone in this house." "The fuck?" I asked, wiping the haze of sleep from my eyes. "Everything will be fine," he repeated twice in an almost patronizing voice, like he was dealing with a rambunctious child. "Just gather some things and step outside. But stay on the line with me, okay?" He was using a pretend calm, one I was quite familiar with. Working in emergency situations as a dispatcher, it is imperative to see calm, no matter the situation, appear calm. But knowing that didn't make it any less horrifying to be on the receiving end. In fact, I would have rather heard him scream, "Get the hell out there now, you are in danger." Acting as if nothing were wrong made the fact that something was wrong all the more glaring, all the most chilling, all the more real. Floorboards creaked. I dropped the phone and froze with a stupid expression on my face. The sound came from somewhere on the floor, but I couldn't place where exactly. Sirens in the distance, the screech of swerving tires in my neighborhood. Psh, psh. It was approaching the bedroom door. A step, then the sound of dragging. A step, then the sound of dragging. I whimpered, naturally, then, slowly, I turned to the doorway. The sight was a good punch, bone deep. "Oh God," I mumble-groaned. It wasn't a hulking threat that was approaching. No, this was worse. This was so worse. The person was naked, that I noticed first, but it was so emaciated that I couldn't tell their gender or even their age. The body was hairless and taller than a child, about 5 feet, and their skin was an unnaturally yellowish brown, but I couldn't tell if it was caused by jaundice or dirt, or both, or worse. Their arm, it caused my breath to choke in my throat, the first time in my adult life that I actually gasped. The right arm was missing below the middle of the biceps. In its place was a hunk of gore, skin dangling, black and rotting. It was an old, festering wound, long infected. Both eyes were open, but the sockets were empty. The stain of running blood had tattooed itself down both cheeks. The poor creature was blind as it lumbered forward. One step forward, then a drag of the back right leg. Psh, psh. The calf muscle was missing from the right leg. The police were able to catch my escape in all its glory as they rolled up. Both cruisers parked in front of my lawn. I blindly grabbed and threw whatever was nearest me to break the closest window. Sadly, the object happened to be a pillow, which bounced off with no damage. I ignored this failure and instead threw myself out of the second-floor window, landing on the slanted awning that hung over my front door, which I then tumbled down, falling a good 13 feet into the grass with a loud, breath-taking thump. Miraculously, the only thing I heard was my pride, as it quickly became a running joke between local officers and fellow dispatchers for months. Remember when Richie threw himself out that window? Don't pull a Richie. Dispatch, we got a situation here. Should I jump out the window? The Richie tumble even became a motion where you just pretend to roll in place. Let's skip through the next week with tidbits. The police found the one-armed, no-eyed victim laying in my bed and immediately transported her to the nearest emergency room. I visited her in the hospital after a few days. She was a 29-year-old female that had gone missing about 2 months earlier from a college 3 states over. Her brain was mush, they told me, and her tongue was gone, so she had no ability to communicate and no means to explain what had happened. Her condition may have been the worst of the situation and all, but in a close second, the police were unable to tell me where the hell she had come from. There was no blood, not anywhere. There was no evidence of her hiding in a crawl space, not that she had the mental capacity to do so for months. It was as if, one day, she mysteriously appeared on the second floor of my house. True to their word, the country put up high up in a Medicare hotel while they continued to scrub the house. The FIB returned with their resources, but, again, they found nothing. Then, again, they disappeared in the night air. The primary jurisdiction assigned a Detective Hernandez to work as an intermediate between me and the active case. They were hesitant to provide me with much, but I did get some information. The septic tank held evidence of multiple, partially digested human remains. That is to say, pieces of a human bodies had passed through the digestive tract of another human and were then deposited in the septic tank. And it was recent enough that the bacteria hadn't enough time to break it all down. All of this meant that a cannibal had recently used the toilet until it broke, and that they had been eating people and using my toilet during the year my house had been in possession by the police. The DNA of the waste, however, didn't match the woman in the hospital. Was strange and unnerving, but weirdly glossed over. I still went to the hotel for a short period while they ensured that my house was completely vacant before letting me return. Once I was allowed back, the septic tank had been replaced, the electricity had been hooked up, and the water main was unclogged, so that each tap worked fine, though I continued for a time drinking bottled water. I was hesitant to be alone, but as I was in a town with zero friends or family, I didn't have much choice, so I slept with light on and spent most daylight hours out and about. I didn't have a lot of cash on hand at the time, but the memory I did have went toward amnesias and furniture. And over time, the house started to feel less menacing. It sounds weird to say, but it's bizarre what I can forgive and forget within a month. My first order of business was to sign up for an online dating service. I didn't take long before I realized how extremely easy it was to meet a woman at a bar, grab dinner, and a few drinks, often with the last bit of money I had, and then offered to end the night at my house, which I owned and lived in alone. For all intents and purposes, I became rather whorish, partially because I could, but also, maybe subliminally, because I didn't want to be in a house alone. And as far as I could tell, everything was normal until one night, soon after, when I was at work and received this call. Alpha 1101, what's your emergency? The voice was male and deep, and he breathed heavily into the receiver. Someone's gonna get murdered. What's the location of your emergency? 1417 Crestview Circle. That's my address, I corrected him. My immediate reaction was to think he was mistaken. I know, the voice agreed. And then the line went dead.